creating a great battle.
An advantage, but then Kasparov banged down the move, rook to c1, and he seemed quite pleased with himself, getting up, leaving the board, leaving Anand to analyze this new situation.
If we just recap the material balance, Kasparov has a rook and a knight. Anand has 2 rooks, so Anand should have a material advantage.
And then Anand played an absolutely spectacular move, castling right into the fire of White's pieces.
Now the rook crashing through, attacking the pawn in front of Anand's king.
And now Anand moving with his rook to check Kasparov's king, and the king had to sidestep up to d3.
So now the rook coming forward just to defend that pawn in front of the king.
And Anand feeling a bit more comfortable in the situation. He had protected himself sufficiently, and Kasparov a bit concerned because now it seemed as if the tide was shifting a bit in Anand's favor.
Somehow Kasparov had to find a way to bring his knight into the attack.
And trying to support that rook was that knight thinking about hopping into b5, so Anand ripped it off the board, removing the important piece, and now Kasparov capturing with his king.
So we had an exchange for bishop and knight, which leaves the situation 2 rooks against a rook and a bishop. Rook coming forward, attacking the pawn.
And the king defending the pawn, and Kasparov now eagerly looking at the board, trying to figure out if he had finally saved himself down in position and in material, but maybe he could balance the situation. And right here, Danny, Anand went into a long think over this next move.
Well, he couldn't quite see a way forward. He just checked the king backwards, but this wasn't really making progress. Normally 2 rooks, better than a rook and a bishop, but here, White's pawn's so active in the center, but Anand's just looking to attack that pawn on d5. There you go. So they've repeated the position. He can't actually make progress.
And that's one way that chess players offer a draw. By making the same moves over, they agree that neither side could do anything better.
Anand could have tried to play for a win by moving the rook down, but then the bishop would come across to defend the pawn, so he rejected the idea.
And repeating moves was Anand. Kasparov well aware of this as a draw offer, so he agreed to a draw after some pretty spectacular fireworks.
I thought this was a brilliant game. The gloves were really off. Both players were going for the win, all out.
And so after the end of the second week of play, the score was knotted at 4-4, a record-breaking 8 consecutive draws at the beginning of a match. And Anand no longer seemed intimidated by Kasparov's legendary board presence.